we get into the film, I like asking a few curveballs at the beginning, some fun stuff.
Oh, good.
Not hard hitting. If someone has actually never seen anything that you've done before, what is the first thing you want them watching and why?
Ooh.
Aimee, you can go first.
That is so good. Wait, so like, am I allowed to say Living or no?
You can, absolutely.
It would probably be I think it would be Living. I mean, I think like the obvious one would be Sex Education, but I actually, because people really, I feel that's very, I'm very saturated in that in my life, and I love it, but it is like a lot of the time it's something that really, it's been kind of put next to my name and it now defines me, even though I've done lots of other things. And I think that Living is like my first, it's like my first proper film role, and I think it's the most beautiful film, so I would say Living.
I would just, as a add to that, the very first thing I ever saw Aimee do was a play, which I thought was extraordinary. She was doing Uncle Vanya, and so my initiation into her was not actually through I then also did see Sex Education, but I remember that. But for me, I don't know. I mean, my previous film, I think, was such a big identifier for me, because it was a film that I think I sort of just, I just metastasized as a director and came into my way. And so I guess that would be something. But I would also agree with Aimee. My big fear with Living is that I've just never made a film like this before, tonally. So it depends on which version of me I want people to meet. The one that makes films where people cry at the end because it's so without hope, or they hopefully cry at the end because it's hopefully full of hope. So
I'm curious, Aimee, when did you realize that acting was something you really wanted to pursue? And Oliver, when did you realize you wanted to, tell stories?
Wow. Well, I loved writing when I was younger, and I wrote myself plays and things like that, and wrote plays for my friends and got them all to act in it, which they hated, but they did it anyway. But then I was very, very shy, like really shy, really very quiet child. And then I think when I found drama club and stuff, I always kind of did funny sketches and bits with my mum, and we played all different characters and stuff inside the house, and then whenever I get out I'd then be silent. And then I kind of like didn't really have any friends when I went to secondary school, and it was through drama. And like I remember just one day we were playing freeze tag, where you freeze and then you go in and you improvise in a scene. And I have been so shy and quiet at school, and my teacher just looked at me because I actually loved her so much and we had a real connection, and she was like, get up, because she knew that I liked doing all like my funny characters. But I just went for it. I just stood up and I went freeze, and everyone was like, who is that? Because I didn't speak. And I went up and I just started playing a funny like Father Christmas. I was playing Santa Claus, but like making him proper like bloke. And then I made loads of friends, and I connected with people, and I was like, maybe, and then it just stuck. So it was really a tool to make friends, actually.
My parents were a huge influence. When I was a kid, it was during apartheid, and things were banned, and it was just a sort of strange time to try and see culture and see films. And my parents loved cinema. My father, very bizarrely, when I was probably too young, took me to see a film called The Bear, the Jean-Jacques Jeannot film. And as you know, it's a live action film about two bears with no dialogue, and it's very French. And we were watching it in a movie house in a hotel, and there was just something about that stuck. I just thought that's like magic or something. There's a sort of wizardry to that, where I can watch something and it's so moving. I sort of wanted to, it's like the Wizard of Oz. I wanted to be behind all of that.
For people, because no one will have seen Living yet, or almost no one who's going to read or watch this interview, who wants to bite the bullet and describe the film?
Let me guess. Well, I mean, beyond the fact that it's inspired and based on an existing film by the extraordinary Akira Kurosawa, and also the reimagining through the lens of Kazuo Ishiguro. This is a story about death affirming life. It's about a civil servant in the 50s in England who realizes that he doesn't have much time left and is somehow struck by a crisis. He comes to sense instantly, almost on the day, that there's something left unsaid in the narrative of his life, and it sort of unfolds and unpacks into like a crisis of, have I really lived it all? And our film is the journey of that remaining time, and Aimee plays the light in the darkness of that journey.
That's a very good. I think you've done that before. I'm going to say.
Actually, I haven't. It's the first
time. Yeah.
That was really good. That was very, very good. So I guess, Oliver, I'm going to ask you the most important question now, which is, I heard that Bill and Aimee laughed a lot during takes and in between takes. How did you corral them?
Did they? I mean, I didn't feel like I had.
Maybe I'm wrong about that.
I didn't have to corral them. I mean, I think, like, you know, our very first week of shooting this film, more or less, was in the office, this office setup that we had. And that was really nice because we had, you know, 6 or 7 actors sitting around a table for a good 5 or 6 days, and they got to know each other, and they got to do, in a way we kind of did, various stages of the story. And I think that was fun for everyone, because I think that Aimee will also tell you, like, you know, everyone got to know everyone and personal relationships developed, but I didn't mind. I honestly didn't mind that, the fact that, you know, and I mean, I actually don't know as much as Aimee does, but I know there were lots of dirty things on paper that were written between them.
Yeah, there was lots of kind of, we would try and seem more well-behaved, I think, when Oliver was present, but we were sending kind of secret notes and stuff on the pieces of paper in the office, and we were having fun. But I think it was so essential as well. I think especially with Bill and I, like, we had to have that. Margaret and Miss Williams really have that connection. Like, it's kind of unexpected, but they see something in each other that they just really like about each other. And I think that we had that in real life as well. And there were lots of, I just couldn't stop smiling. Like, I was always trying to make myself, you know, I was always kind of holding back a smile because I just wanted to grin every time I was with Bill, which I think was probably right and good, you know, apart from the sad bits, of course. It would be weird if I was smiling through those. But yeah, we did have a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun.
I remember actually on that, when we were doing that office, that week of office, there was one day where Bill actually said to me, like, I don't, like, because he felt like he was being taken away whenever he wasn't needed. He was being taken to his trailer of sorts. And there was one day he very sheepishly asked me, he's like, could I stay? Because he felt like everyone else was having so much fun. I was like, of course you can stay. Yeah, you can just hang out if you want. And that was a good sign. I liked the fact that he didn't feel like, want to be like, get me away from these people. He really wanted to hang out. So I think it was a good thing. It was a good thing that, you know, generally the environment was kind of, yeah, it was fun.
Yeah.
The film opens with this vintage footage of London, and I loved it. How did the decision get made to start with that vintage footage?
I was up in the middle of the night on YouTube, Googling vintage London. I knew that I wanted to do a title sequence. I was originally going to do something else. I was going to do graphics. And then I literally went on a deep dive on YouTube, just looking for footage. I knew that I wanted something. And there's something quite extraordinary about that footage, which is that when you watch that footage, and now that we have it in the film, the costume of everyone who's in that footage is exactly what our costume designer did. I remember when I showed it to Sandy Powell for the first time, the movie started and she was like, oh, you've used archive, it's going to like show me up. And I said to her, like, absolutely not. It actually shows how extraordinary you are, because the merge of seeing those women on the streets in the archive, and then seeing our women on the streets in our beginning of the film as well. It's uncanny. I mean, I think, in fact, that archive match is a testament to the extraordinary work of Sandy Powell.
Yeah, Sandy's kind of talented. She's okay.
Yeah, she's pretty good.
She'll land on her feet.
Yeah.
She's gonna work again. She'll work
Yeah.
again.
Exactly. I really loved the script for this, and I think it does such a great job at capturing so much. And for both of you, I'm just curious if you could talk about your reaction when you first read it and the emotions that sort of hit you.
Yeah, well, I really needed to read it when I read it. I was feeling quite down in the dumps, and and when it came through, and it just like seemed to be so cosmic, because I read it and it was exactly just what I needed to reconnect with, which is just, you know, seeing the kind of greatness of the small things, and just really being present and appreciating the people that are around you. And yeah, I was really, really moved by it. And I thought it was so rare, because you don't get, you know, might get sent quite a lot of stuff through, but it is rare to actually get something that you genuinely like fall in love with. It doesn't happen that much. And so yeah, I just remember reading it and thinking that it was kind of like sent at that exact moment, you know. So yeah, that was how I
mean, when I first read it, I had like a panic attack about it, because it's a very not a hard sell, but it's quite a dangerous ask to a director, going, hey, would you like to tackle something that's based on a original film that is much loved by the whole world and that is 70 years old, and more importantly, that the reimagining is being written by somebody who the world also loves. There was something about all of that. There's just sort of like, let me just pour myself a glass of wine. And I remember that it took me a very long time. This is like, Kazuo Ishiguro is the most wonderful man. He's this otherworldly person. And what was very hard for me in the beginning was that I didn't know how to navigate giving notes. I didn't know how to navigate like developing this film with him, because I read something and I had ideas and I wanted to change things and I wanted to sort of like get my fingers into it as a director. But there was always this thing of going, can I really, I mean, how dare I do this? And he sort of just said to me one day, you need to tell me what you want. You need to be the director. And I just love that. I love that he's such a collaborator. And then he couldn't stop me, because then I was just like going nuts. And we spent a lot of time together, and you know, the script was just a journey between him and I loved that we got to do that.
For both of you, I love learning like the random behind the scenes facts or things that might surprise people. So for soon to be fans of this film, what do you think would surprise people to learn about the making of Living?
I mean, I think one of the things that I don't know if people will know, but we all know, is that we actually shot Living in County Hall. We shot it in the place that it's set, and we didn't just shoot an exterior here and there. We literally lived there. It was ours, and I think that's a extraordinary. You know, I don't think that ever happens. You know, if you have a film set in the Coliseum, you don't get to shoot it in the Coliseum. And we did.
There was a great day where we were on, I can't remember which street we were on, but you know, like quite a busy street in London, and Bill managed to find a table. He sourced a table and a vase with flowers in it, and some Italian restaurant brought lunch, and we were sat on a table in like the middle of the street in London having lunch together. That was pretty special. Just on this kind of like, people managed to just kind of find this table, this tablecloth, this vase, and then we had this great food, and it was just, that was really brilliant and amazing.
On that note, I need to stop with you guys, but I really, it's fine. It will, you know, it's okay. I really mean it sincerely. I really thought you guys did a great job with this. I don't say that with every interview that I do. This movie really meant a lot to me. And I'm just going to say congrats. I hope you guys have a fantastic afternoon. And Oliver, I hope you're making another movie again soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.